Number 7 is still not the worst case of CGI in these special editions. There's still worse cases. Anyway, Han talking to Jabba in Star Wars was originally a deleted scene. Some fat British guy was going to take place of Jabba the Hutt before they got something to, take his place, but instead, they just deleted the scene from the film entirely. You can watch the deleted scene on YouTube. It is not. It is not like the video is not deleted from YouTube because of copyright. It's still on there. You can still watch it. Anyway, this scene ruins like the mystery. And what I mean mystery is that deleting the scene actually gave some like mystery to who Jabba the Hutt is. Like, what could this Jabba the Hutt be? And then in Return of the Jedi, you finally got to see him. But no, they're just going to ruin the mystery by inserting this scene. And this scene pretty much had no purpose because every part of the dialogue in this scene is literally just repeats of dialogue from previous scenes. It doesn't matter if the dialogue has changed a bit. You don't learn anything except from this scene. Oh, and Boba Fett's here for some reason.
So, this change would actually be higher, except it was only in the 1997 version. Yes, in the 1997 version of these films, after Darth Vader reveals that Luke is his son, Luke sacrifices himself for the good of the Republic. However, in the 1997 version, he screams while falling down. The problem with this is that it denies all, like, why would he be screaming? He's doing something so heroic. Why is he even, like, screaming while sacrificing himself for the good of the Republic and the rebels? Well, I don't know. It just strips away any bravery that Luke had. Also, the scream that Luke has is the exact same scream that Emperor Palpatine had in Return of the Jedi while he was falling down. So, yeah, that's just proof of even more laziness. Um, Other than that, that's pretty much it for this change. I will say that George Lucas made a smart decision as this change was removed in the 2004 and 2011 versions of the film.
Out of all the changes that George Lucas has made to these films, this is probably the most pointless one. In this change, we get to see the prequel planets celebrate the defeat of the Empire, even though one of those prequel planets caused the creation of the Empire. Yeah, it really only wastes time. Oh, and during one of the planet's scenes, we get to see Jar Jar Binks scream, "We saw free," just to add insult to injury. It only wastes time. I don't even know why this change was implemented because most of these planets because one of these planets even caused the creation of the Empire. Why are they celebrating its defeat? George Lucas, is there something about CGI that you just can't get enough of? Is there something about poorly made CGI that you just can't get enough of? Well, in this change in Return of the Jedi, we get to see a band perform a song, which which is CGI versions of the puppets from the band used in the original version, except the original song actually sounded like an alien language, while this new song just sounds like a bunch of weird gibberish that doesn't make any sense. Like what like this is literally just a waste of time. It adds nothing to the movie. It destroys it, especially when you consider that this scene where the slave girl is trying to get free of Jabba the Hutt and then dies. how is this completely juvenile song with poorly made CGI characters going to help the experience of seeing someone try to kill their owner? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. And if you look hard enough, in one of the scenes, I learned that you can still see the puppet used in the original version. So, the entirety of this scene was completely pointless. There was no reason for for this change to even be made. Also, the new song is so annoying. With Jedi Rocks, you've seen the worst case of CGI in these special editions. Now, with this change, you'll see the worst case of character derailment with just a simple change. Now, in the original 1977 version, Han shot Greedo, and that's it. Greedo didn't shoot at all. And that's why I'm not going to say Han shot first, because he was the only one who shot. In the 1997 version of the film, apparently, in order, because George Lucas didn't want anyone to think that Han Solo was a bad guy, he had Greedo shoot first, and it looked terrible. Basically, Han digitally moved his head to the right, and then he shot Greedo. In the 2004 version, they cleaned it up a bit, making it faster so it looks less crappy. And in the 2011 version, they shoot virtually at the same time, but that still derails Han as a character. I mean, at the beginning of his of Star Wars, when you first meet him, he really seems like somebody not to mess with. I mean, he shot Greedo from under the table. This is not someone you want to mess around with. And yet, in the later versions, Han shot Greedo after Greedo shot him. Also, you could still see Han pull out the gun, so he was still planning to shoot Greedo. So really, it doesn't change anything. It just makes Greedo seem like the worst shooter of all time. He's even worse than the stormtroopers. He can't even shoot Han from that close. This this is this is probably the most hated change and the most controversial change of all of the movies. And most people would place it at number 1. However, I think that there are two changes that are even more deserving of number 1 than this. Towards the end of Return of the Jedi, we see Darth Vader battling an inner conflict as the Emperor Palpatine is electrocuting Luke to death. In order, what should he do? Should he save Luke and save his family and return to the light side, or should he continue with Emperor Palpatine's plan and remain on the dark side? This inner conflict it adds more emotion to the film and gives strengthens Darth Vader's character. As none of that is apparent. Apparently, George Lucas thinks that the audience is not as smart as they are, so he throws in Darth Vader saying no to let us know why, to let us know the inner conflict that he's having. It's obvious. It's all obvious. Everyone knows what's happening, George Lucas. Maybe the 1-year-old doesn't know what's happening, but the 1-year-old wouldn't know what's happening even if you had Darth Vader say no. Also, this does give me memories of Darth Vader from like the prequel trilogy as Anakin Skywalker. How annoying he was, because at the end of Revenge of the Sith, we also saw Darth Vader say no when he sensed Padme's death. But that's for the Revenge of the Sith review. Anyway, this change was completely unnecessary, and it kind of insults the audience as they can't tell what's happening. However, this still isn't the worst change in all of these movies. There is still one change that is so bad that I knew it was going to be number one. I knew this change was going to be number one from the moment I started to think of this list. There is so much wrong with this change. How would Luke even recognize his father, who looks even younger than him? And why did Anakin Skywalker suddenly go back to his younger days while Obi-Wan and Yoda look the same as they did once they died? I can understand that they're trying to portray it as this is how they were when they were both all affected by the light force. However, even this is flawed because Anakin was already showing signs of being evil in episodes 2 and 3. So this is definitely not the time when he was affected by the light force. He was still, I guess, a hero, but he still was like had evil within him. Everything also, why did also it basically just wastes time again, and why didn't they just stick with the original actor like Sebastian Shaw? Like he was the original Anakin Skywalker from the original version of the film. Why did they just change him? Why did they just leave it there? Also, Darth Vader went back to the light side right before he died. So even that's flawed. That's that's where Anakin was affected by the light force because he was also affected by the light force right before he died. Everything about this change is just wrong. And it deserves to be called number 1. This is the worst Star Wars Special Edition change. Well, that's it with the Star Wars Special Edition changes. There are good changes in the Special Editions, but they're very few, and there wouldn't be enough to make a top 10 list about them, so don't even ask for a top 10 best Special Edition changes. George Lucas, he never released the original versions, so maybe passing the series to Disney was a good idea because maybe they won't change The Force Awakens all too much. Maybe they won't change this sequel trilogy so much. Maybe they'll even release the original versions of the Star Wars films. But as of now, the only way you can watch the original versions legally is to buy the VHS tapes of them. And they're very bad quality, but hey, it's the only way you can watch the originals. George Lucas once upon a time knew how to make a film. He didn't just settle with crappy CGI. He actually used real effects. He was even the director of the first film. The path he went down was not... I don't know what happened to him. He just lost it. When he started making the Star Wars prequels, he just lost everything. He also started to change the original films because that's his original vision. He did not go down a good path. Well, I guess that's it. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and like this video. This is the Time Project, signing out.